There's a YouTube channel that I watch where amongst the things they do is they interview people associated with kung fu movies, stuff like that. And I'm not going to tell you the name of the channel just yet because you'll just go to YouTube and you'll start looking it up and you won't listen to what I'm trying to tell you. So, anyways, they've got a guy they're about to interview that I'm very excited about, and I'm not going to tell you his name because you'll start to Google him and you won't. You know what? Forget it. If you're going to be that kind of person where you can't listen to a 5-minute story and hold your questions till the end, and you just got to break off and look at your phone and Google every single thing in the middle of a story, then so be it. Because I'm going to tell you what it is, and then you can go ahead and tune me out and Google all you want and miss my story. But here goes. Okay. So the YouTube channel is called The Kung Fu Genius. And the guy they're going to interview is a guy named Bay Logan. Now, Bay Logan is a guy who, I think he runs like a production company or something. But anyways, back a long time ago, like 20-something more years ago or whatever, he started popping up as the expert commentary on every single DVD release for Bruce Lee films, Jackie Chan films, any type of thing, even down to minor people, everything from the Shaw Brothers, the Deadly Venoms, Five Fingers of Death, anything, you name it. He's the guy. And he had not only an encyclopedic knowledge of everything and everyone. That's even an understatement. I mean, it's exhausting listening to him for 5 seconds. I mean, he speaks the language. He's a British guy. He lives in Hong Kong. He speaks the language. He knows every single actor and person in production, behind the scenes people, directors, what have you, on a personal level, eating dinner at their house, going back 40, 50 years. Plus, he also makes kung fu movies. He's like a writer, director. Anyways, the guy has a lot of insider knowledge. So, now keep that in mind. Now, Bruce Lee was a child actor in Hong Kong. His father was an actor. He was a rich kid. They had servants in the house. This is stuff you probably don't know about Bruce Lee. But anyways, he was in a film at 2 months old, but he started acting, with dialogue and stuff from the age of 6 on up. He had done 20 films before he came to America after turning 18 years old in 1959. And, he was the kid in school that was the well-known star. And none of these were martial arts. I mean, he's just an actor, right? Okay, so over the years, you would get to see clips of these childhood films of his in different documentaries that would come out. Some of them actually started to get released on DVD. Maybe half a dozen or so. I've got them. But there was one, his final film before coming to America, the only one he filmed as an adult in Hong Kong. He had turned 18. It's called The Orphan. And that one couldn't be released. It couldn't be replayed in theaters. It could not be played on Hong Kong television. It was caught up in rights issues. And there was an actual entire book released all about the trouble associated with trying to re-release this film, even for Hong Kong audiences to watch on television. The reason was because it was based on a book, and there were rights issues with the books, and so on. Anyways, I have this book, but the book is now old. I mean, I got this book, I don't know, like 20 years ago or something. And since that book came out, we've gotten American DVD releases with subtitles of many of his childhood films. This one's still caught up. Now, back then, when there was talk about, how much trouble it was to get this DVD out, or not DVD, but this film re-released or even played on Hong Kong television, the talk at the time was about a similar thing going on with many properties, like notably the 1966 Batman series with Adam West and Burt Ward. And the reason was because since it was the big hit show at the time, and hit with the college-age crowd or the hip crowd, it was the 60s, every single actor, celebrity, musician, whatever, wanted to be on the show. So the only way they could get everyone on the show was, I mean, they had many of them play different villains. They had a different villain every episode. But was to have that scene where Batman and Robin are climbing up the side of the building, of a building with their bat ropes. And there's a window that will open up, and someone will pop their head out. Sammy Davis Jr., you name it, everybody. Milton Berle, whoever it is, it would pop their head out. So you would have these cameos every episode. Well, now all of these people were dead, and you had to get clearance rights from the estates of every single one of these people through all 120 episodes of Batman in a price range that would, be reasonable, that you could make your money back of putting this thing out. And so it was tied up. Now, like I said, many years have gone by since then. And in fact, so many that Adam West felt, well, he's not going to live long enough to see a home video release, a DVD release of this show. So he, if it ever comes out. So he went ahead and released a double DVD set where he's sitting in his attic and he does a, just kind of talking into the camera, audio commentary for all 120 episodes, and just put it out himself because it could never be done for the actual official release that seemed like it was never going to happen. And then what happened? The rights issues were cleared up. Like so many other of these things, that somehow all gets cleared up and the DVDs come out. Well, also, a color print of Bruce Lee's The Orphan was found. I can't remember where it was found, like the back of a pickup truck or in a vault or whatever, but there was a color print found. This was his only color film, a childhood film, before coming to America. And before all his martial arts stuff, this is before he was Kato on the Green Hornet. This is all 1940s and 1950s films. They were all black and white except this final one. It was in color, but they didn't have color TVs back then in China. And so the movie was only known of in black and white, but there was a color print found. I guess they filmed it in color. It was probably played originally in color in the theater in its initial run in 1959. And this color print started airing on Hong Kong television. So I'm thinking, okay, rights have been cleared up. Something has happened where things have changed. Like so many of these other stories, things have changed. And so, and this was a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, and how I know about it is people in Hong Kong going over on vacation or what have you would film with their phones a minute or less of footage, just pointing their phones at the television in their hotel room or whatever of when this would play on TV. And they would put it up on YouTube. So I wanted the whole movie released here in the U.S. I figured, okay, things have changed. Things have obviously changed. Something has happened. So, well, when the Kung Fu Genius said, okay, next up I'm going to be interviewing Bay Logan, post in the comments below any questions you may have for him, my thought was, well, here's the guy that always seems to have the inside scoop on what is currently happening with all of this stuff. He's so up on everything with Bruce Lee, all the stuff, all the unreleased Game of Death footage that John Little found and put out in that documentary, A Warrior's Journey. All of that stuff. And he's also, Bay Logan is also responsible for getting a lot of these obscure Hong Kong films restored and released and distributed on home video for the U.S. and dubbed into English or subtitled, finding the highest quality prints in people's personal collections, like Quentin Tarantino has a big collection of these films, on and on, right? So my question that I posted in the comments was, well, my question is, what's the latest update of whether we can get the color print of The Orphan released on home media for the U.S. market? And not much later, some random guy commented on my post, that would be held up for various rights issues, or it could possibly be that there is no market for Bruce Lee's childhood films in America, or it could be a print that is held by a large conglomerate, or it could be, and I'm like, what the heck? I know all this, dude! Who asked you? Who are you? This question wasn't for you. Anyways, I didn't say anything like that. I just responded back, there is a market for his childhood films because they've been released here on DVD. And I know the myriad of reasons as to what could have held up The Orphan because I have the entire book written about it. But that was long ago, and things have changed, and it is now being aired on Hong Kong television where it could not be before because those rights issues. I wanted an update from the guy that might have the knowledge about it. So this random guy comes back again and says, well, then it's most certainly a rights issue, or, and then he starts rattling off a couple of other things that it could possibly be, and then he finishes with, but it's all very complicated. So I just went back and responded, thanks for mansplaining it to me. I'm so clueless and confused by all of this complicated stuff. And that was it. Then I get a notification that he has responded. And I look on my phone, I can see his response. He's just cussing me out and calling me ungrateful and that he'll never lift a finger to help me again. Like anyone asked for whoever this guy's quote-unquote help is, as if any of this was helpful. And oh, no, now he's not going to give me his help anymore. Oh, but you know what? When I went to YouTube to just respond back to him, thanks again, I couldn't. Because YouTube had removed his comment because it does not adhere to the guidelines of treating people with proper human decency and respect. So it was just removed. So that was it. So whatever, dude. Give me a break. Idiots.